How do you get along?
Well, I mean, that's easy. As long as you do what I ask you to do, everything is fine. I mean, I think that's...
I was like, when he said that's easy, I was like, oh, where's he going with this one? Welcome to Banking on the Banks. We're so glad to be here with you. Yes, Banking on the Banks, we are your favorite couple. And so we're so excited to have you here with us today. Seriously, I hope that you follow us, you share us, and you're clued in to the conversation. I mean, not just listening to the conversation, but participating in this conversation. So my name is Gloria, and this is Ken. That's how I introduce him. My name is Gloria, and this is Ken, my husband. We just celebrated 26 years of marriage. Let me tell you, by the way, that he is a very fierce businessman. He's a very fierce husband. He's a very fierce family man. And so I'm excited to spend this time with you and with you guys talking to him because he is funny and he is crazy.
And I am excited to be here. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys. No, I'm excited. And we just came back from a vacation for 32 days. I mean, 32 days away with my bride here.
Oh,
and we, yeah. I haven't said that in a while, right?
No.
I haven't said that in a while. Kind of shocked her. Like,
put your cameras on. You just...
My bride. We had a great time. We were in 6 countries, 10 flights, about 10 cities. I got this 6 currencies that we had to deal with.
Oh, yeah, the currencies.
And visas everywhere. So many COVID tests in the first week, our noses were bleeding. You know, it's just crazy. But
okay, I got this memorized.
What you got?
So we got 3 continents.
3 continents.
6 countries.
Right.
9 cities.
Okay.
10 flights.
Yep.
9 hotels as well.
9 hotels.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. And everything was,
2 extensions. 2 extensions.
2 extensions.
We were supposed to be gone for 26 days.
Right.
And we stayed 32 days. It was amazing.
Exactly. We stayed, we were on our way back from a last stop, which was in Bali. And we're heading back. We're like, you know what? We're supposed to go from Bali to Dubai and then to home. And we said, you know what? I don't know, maybe we should add one more stop in there. One more stop, right? Just one more stop. And so I'm looking around. I go to Dubai and I draw a circle around Dubai. And Zanzibar fell in that circle, right? And so we decided to go to Zanzibar for...
after we looked at Maldives.
After we looked at Maldives.
After we looked at Sri Lanka.
Right, exactly.
But it was raining, they said.
Didn't look like a good place to go for a few days. And so we decided to go to Zanzibar and had a great time. We were glad we went. We stayed at another fabulous hotel, the Zuri Hotel in Zanzibar. And I'm telling you what, we stayed at the all 5-star hotels.
Before we get to the hotel, let's go back to the beginning, how this all came about. Okay. Because, we've been on vacations before.
Many.
We've traveled a lot.
Right. We love to travel.
Never this extensive. So how does this happen? How does this happen that we go from, we'll take some time and travel?
Right.
So let's just say the dream started many years ago, as far as I'm concerned, because we had talked about possibly getting round trip tickets, like tickets around the world, go one direction around the world. And so I talked to a friend of mine who's a travel agent, and I was like, well, this is really extensive type of thing. But I really wanted to do something to celebrate your birthday. And so you had a great party and we had a great celebration.
Which is a great idea.
It was a great idea. It was a great party. We had a fabulous time. And that's when I said, well, let's go to Dubai. That was my gift, was let's go to Dubai. Huh?
Bali.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
When we tried to get her to tell a story, it just doesn't work. No. Okay, so I mean, say what you want to say. I'll adapt, but it wasn't Dubai. It was
Bali. It really was. Okay,
you don't know what I have to deal with. You just don't know what I have to deal with.
I want to take you to Bali. You are absolutely right. I wanted to go to Bali.
Right.
And so we started on this course about possibly going to Bali.
Right.
Now, how did it go from going from here to Bali to all the other places we went to?
Well, so we were flying Emirates. Emirates business class is, if you have, that's one of the best airlines in the world as far as I'm concerned. Their business class is second to none. It's just amazing. And so we could have flown other airlines, but I wanted to fly Emirates. And anytime you fly Emirates, most of the time you have to go through Dubai, right? And so if we're going to go through Dubai, you might as well stay in Dubai for a day or so. So on our way out, we stopped in Dubai. We stayed in Dubai one day, and then we headed to other countries. So how did it grow? So I looked at the Bali, where Bali was, and I kind of drew a circle around Bali of a couple of thousand miles, something that could be a relatively easy flight. We first looked at Japan, going to Tokyo, but Tokyo was closed.
Right.
Basically, you couldn't get to
yet.
Tokyo, not open yet. And so we decided to go to Seoul, Korea. And Seoul, Korea
I was so
there.
excited because I love technology.
Right.
And I was like, yes, let's go to Seoul. It was very exciting to think about that.
We looked at other countries like Thailand and Bangkok, etc. But we have both been to Bangkok. We said, let's do something else. So then Vietnam came into view. Mm-hmm. So Vietnam is real close to Korea. So South Korea. So we decided to go to Vietnam. And when you go to Vietnam, we got to spend a few days there, right? And so we spent like 6 days in Vietnam. We stayed in 2 cities. Ho Chi Minh, or the former Saigon, and also Da Nang, in a city near Da Nang called Hoi An. So we stayed in Vietnam, and then Gloria wanted to see Singapore. That wasn't on me. She wanted to see Singapore.
I did.
So,
You've been there, though.
I've been there.
So
we went to Singapore.
Right.
We stayed 3 days in Singapore. Nice places, I'm telling you that. And then from Singapore, we went to Bali, where the whole thing started. We went to Bali. And then we were supposed to...
2 places in Bali.
2 places in Bali. A place in Ubud, U-B-U-D, Ubud, and Jimbaran Bay. Jimbaran Bay, 4 seasons at Jimbaran Bay. And so we were supposed to head back to Dubai, spend 3 days in Dubai, and then head home. But one of us was not ready to go home. Actually, both of us were not ready to quite go home. And so we're going someplace else. We decided to go maybe to Maldives, maybe to Sri Lanka, but it was raining there, right? It looked like rain. And so Zanzibar came into view.
And it sounded delicious.
It sounded delicious, right? Delicious. Zanzibar.
You think about these things when you're on the travel.
There's some cities in the world some places in the world you should always go to, because just the way they sound, like Kathmandu, or Timbuktu, or Zanzibar, Casablanca. These cities you got to go to just because of the name of it, right? And so we decided to go to Zanzibar. So we spent a few days in Zanzibar, and it was absolutely amazing. We were so happy we went to the African continent. So we were in 3 continents. Mm-hmm. What were they?
Asia.
Africa. Uh-huh. No, you said 3 continents. I'm wondering which 3. Okay, yeah. So you got to count North America, right? So we were also in the Middle East, in Dubai. And so we were in 2 continents, also the Middle East, unless you want to count the United States and North America. And next week, we're going to South America. We're going to South America. So we're adding continents. And prior to that, a couple of months before that, I was in Europe. And so we're just slamming down the continents.
This story is a very interesting story to get to 32 days away. Now, his story is that he picked Bali and did a circle and said, these are the other countries we should investigate. My story is that as we're traveling, prior to going to Bali, prior to deciding where we're going to go, we're getting in and out of cabs because we travel a lot. Every time he gets into a conversation with someone in the cab, he's like, yeah, let's go to Vietnam. Yeah, let's go to it just kept growing and growing and growing. He got so excited about all these different places because of the different people that we are talking to. And what I want to say is that it's so exciting that once you decide to put your mind on doing something like that, all these forces come in to make it such a great experience. And you cannot leave out the part that you were inspired by the people you're talking to.
I'm always inspired, and when you're on the other side of the world, you might as well take advantage of being on the other side of the world, right? You know, you're just not going to go to one country. If you have the opportunity, we had the opportunity to do that, and we decided to do it, and we're sharing it with people, and so we're back.
Yeah. And we really want to say this, that I really want people to know that we are excited to inspire other people to travel. We're excited for other people to see a taste of what it's like, because there's a lot of reservations about travel, and the world is opening up right now, and it's very exciting. One of the things that we said is that it was 14 and a half hours you get from Dulles to Dubai. And don't let the hours on the airplane deter you from seeing what's on the other side of the world, because I promise you that when you touch land on the other side, you forget about the fact that it was 14 hours. We slept. Yeah, we watched a couple of movies. It was awesome.
All right. Did some meditation and read a book or whatever, and the time goes. And so we're actually, sometimes you're like, oh, we could use another couple of hours on the plane. 14 hours isn't enough. We need another 2 hours.
We had to handle a lot. I want to tell you, don't let the challenges stop you. The visas, like you said, the visas were a lot. And you had a travel agent that really helped you, right?
Yeah,
that was very important.
We had, on this kind of trip, you really need to have somebody on your side who is putting it together, who's been there before, who's been to the hotels before, who knows the airlines, who knows the flights, etc. Yes. And they can get you better deals. So every hotel we went to, it was, we get an upgraded room, and we'd also get a voucher, it's $100 voucher or whatever.
And breakfast was included.
And sometimes breakfast and dinner was included. So, you get better benefit from somebody who gives these people $1 million a year, let's say, in value. And instead of me calling up and saying, you don't get the same deal. You don't get the same deal.
One of the things that I loved that we did on this trip, we started reaching out to people that we knew. And it was a friend of ours, Steve, who's big in travel, who said to us, look into a travel agent who's familiar with that. So it's just nice to reach out to people who know. Right. You don't have to know everything yourself, but you have to be willing to take advice from other people, or at least get information from other people to use it. And that was really powerful, because it wasn't like Ken handed the trip over to a travel agent. He really worked this trip. You really worked this trip. And I was very excited. The way he got into it, they went back and forth, the type of decision. What about the decision that just expanded my mind a lot as to where we stayed? We decided to stay at some really nice places, because when you travel around the world, you really do have the choice of whether you want to save money over here, spend money over there. How do you want to stay? Where do you want to stay? And we decided to stay at a level that would embrace our desire to increase our level of abundance. Would you say that?
I would say that. I was wondering how it was going to come out. How's she going to say this? But we did. We stayed at very nice hotels. We flew business class, the entire way, and so we were met at every airport. Somebody came up with a sign, looking for you, and then you go and you get expedited through the airport.
Explain that, Kim, because I did not know about the expedition.
Well, yeah. So
we needed some of our travel agents.
So you can sometimes you can always have an expediter meet you when you get off the plane, or shortly after you get off the plane. They have a sign, you meet them. You've seen a lot of people with the signs for car service. When you get out past customs and all that, there'll be a line of people. But there's other services where they'll meet you basically when you get off the plane. You get off the plane and there's a person there, and they will take you through the airport. They will take you through customs. Yes. And so you always get expedited. There's no lines.
Talking the language for you.
No lines. You just go kind of straight through. You do that, and it's stamps. And so literally every airport we went into, we would from the time we got off the plane to the time we were outside was no more than 15 minutes. And, sometimes it could take hours, if you've been in some of those lines. And so you pay a little bit for that. You pay a couple of $100, I think, for that. But I think it's worth it, especially if you have a transfer. If you go into an airport and you have a 2-hour transfer, sometimes it's very complicated in foreign cities to get from one place to the other. You don't know the language. You don't know where you are. Your first time you're in the airport, and you can take a lot of time getting through. And so,
But you pick your adventures. You pick your adventures, because some people love that adventure. They love trying to navigate through that part of it. But it's frustrating for us. So instead of putting our time of adventuresome in that part of the world, we would put adventuresome in the tours and the things that we decided to do and not do. But I just want to tell people that's a choice. There's so many choices available to you to determine the type of travel you want to have. And I think that's what makes it fun. Part of the fun of travel is before you even get there. The traveling planning, like the packing. We talked about that before. But
Yeah,
Ken,
so because one of us,
y'all, traveled for 32 days with a carry-on. A carry-on and a backpack. That's ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about it. I had a checked luggage. And I'm really proud of the fact that I only had one piece of checked luggage. It was sort of big. It was sort of big. But
2 men and a boy to carry.
But it was only one piece of checked luggage, right? Right?
Only
Because
one piece, right.
part of traveling for 32 days together is how we handle each other, how we compromise each other, how much joy we had. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I said to her, honestly, we were celebrating 26 years of marriage while we were in Bali on that part of that vacation. But I fell more in love with Ken, spending 32 days with him. Oh my God, spending 32 days with him, it really was, it was eye-opening because we were together the entire time.
24 hours, 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And,
what you want to do, what I want to do, what we want to do, what you want to do.
Exactly. But, we make it work out. And, and we never have any sort of problem, discussions. We get along so well. And, the more we're together, actually, even it's the better it is. So,
it is.
So if you want to travel with somebody that you don't like, I wouldn't advise going. You don't do it. Just don't do it. If you don't like the person, do not go for 32 days. Go for a weekend, and try to hang in there. But
I will say, honestly, to your point, Ken, you would check in with me. You want to have some time alone? Do you want to be alone? Do you want to stay together? I do some check on him. He wants to rest. He wants to sleep. He wants to work out. He wants to eat alone. We check in with each other. And I think that's what makes it work so good, is that you don't just say what you want to do, what I want to do. We work with each other to see how it's going to work and what do you want to do and what do you want to do. But it's not so much what do you want to do, what do you want to do. It's also what I would like to do. I think you tune in to what I'd like to see, and I tune in to what you'd like to see.
Some of the adventures we were on.
Oh my gosh. So many. Well, first, what I love about us is that a level of appreciation. It wasn't just that we stayed at some of the great hotels. It was that we loved the adventure of seeing great hotels. We loved the service that came with those hotels. We loved, he loves construction. So the architecture is something that he just absolutely loved. And me, I love the ornateness. I love the chandeliers. I love where it's located. I love the stores that are across the street from it. I mean, it was so exciting to just the adventures of the different hotels that we were in. That
was fabulous. And tell them about the swing that we got on.
Oh my gosh, we went to the swing. We were in Bali, and we were going to temples. We did
there's a number of temples in Bali.
Yes.
And it's interesting, in Bali, they do have a number of temples around, but every home has a temple also. Yes. Every home has a temple. And if people do sacrifices to, I shouldn't say sacrifices, but offerings at least once a day, but more often 3 times a day. So they stop what they're doing and they make an offering to God for 3 times a day. And so they're very peaceful, very spiritual people.
Yeah. Remember how you felt?
I just felt I feel different. This feels very calming. And I didn't know really the attitude there, but everybody's always very graceful, very happy, very very encouraging, and they don't have the amount of stuff that we have, but they are so grounded, so peaceful, so they're really in a different state. But I got away from our swing adventure.
Yeah, but you're so good at the facts. So the temple we went to had been uncovered. It was one of those temples that was underneath the dirt forever, and they found it like 1,000 years ago or something.
It's 1,000 years old. They found it like 100 years, less than 100 years ago.
Right, and so it had a lot of steps. But however, it was in the midst of this forest, and there was a swing set, and they said, "Would you like to go swinging?" I mean, and when they swing you way out into the jungle, and I happened to look down to make sure there was a net. There was a net down there. It was such an adventure to fly. You're really flying on this swing. You're locked into this contraption, which is great. But you swing back and forth. They take pictures of you, and then they say, "Let your arms go," and you go like that. Look, they say, "Let your arms go." You go like, "What?" And they said, "Let your arms go." You let your arms go, and you really fly. It was fabulous. It was fabulous. I had a turn. You had a turn. It was amazing. What did you think about it?
I loved it. We love adventures. So we did that, and What else did we do? When we were in Martha's Vineyard, we jumped off a bridge.
Yes.
Into the water, and swam ashore.
But let's talk about the ultimate adventure.
What's that?
The ultimate adventure to me, and I wasn't even part of it, but Ken went scuba diving in Dubai in the mall. Now, who does scuba diving in the mall?
That is because in the mall, that is where their aquarium is. It's situated right in a mall.
For the purpose of diving.
No, for the purpose of showing sharks. It's a shark filled aquarium. So they have a number of species of shark in this aquarium.
Okay.
But they also have a feature where you can dive. You can dive into this aquarium.
Huge,
it's huge.
Because it's hot in Dubai, so you just can't go scuba diving anywhere in Dubai. But the thing is that how they change things and adapt things for the weather so that you don't miss anything in Dubai. So for him, he said, I'm going diving. I looked at him like, what? In the mall.
And I hadn't been diving for a number of years.
Right.
I used to dive all the time.
All the time.
And I kind of missed it. I said, I want to go diving. She said, all right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later.
We're banking on the banks. So that was pretty amazing. That was a big adventure for you. And right. I loved it. It was very exciting. So we had a lot of adventures like that. Let's talk about the Indian Ocean, you guys. Let's just talk about it. Can you just feel with me? If you love beaches, we had a chance to touch the beach all over the place, actually. But the beach, which was my favorite beach, was the one in Zanzibar because a guy gave us a description. It was like white pepper, and it was beautiful. But it was the beach, it was the water, it was the sunset, it was the boats, it was the fishing, it was watching the people, the way they lived there. But when you stepped off that beach into the warm water of the Indian Ocean, it was, how people say it feels like a bath. It was just dreamy.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So we wound up swimming in the Indian Ocean, in the western part of the Indian Ocean in Zanzibar. And we also, we're swimming on the eastern part of the Indian Ocean in Bali. And so we were in a place called Jumbadan Bay in Bali, and on the ocean at a Four Seasons hotel. It was a fabulous hotel. And then we went swimming in the Indian Ocean on that side of the Indian Ocean, the east side of the Indian Ocean. So we've seen it, and that's probably 6,000 miles apart. I'm guessing, but it's probably pretty close.
Okay, so let me tell you one of my lessons, travel. Because I got a lot of life lessons. But one of them that I really honed in on while I was there was, Gloria, just be okay with who you are, as you are, period. Like, we do spend a lot of time comparing ourselves. We spend a lot of time trying to meet other people's expectations. And when you travel like that and you're with so many different cultures and so many different people and so many ways in which they appreciate things. But we walked into Singapore, and I'm telling you, that was amazing. The way they live in Singapore, the part that we saw was absolutely fabulous. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The best stores, the best dress. We got to the Ritz-Carlton in Singapore. I said, Ken, we have to run. We must run to our room. We're underdressed.
Yeah.
They looked so fabulous. The bags were fabulous. The heels were fabulous. The limos were fabulous. The cabs were fabulous. Everything was fabulous.
Every man was like suited down and everything. We're walking in shorts, and I'm like, whoa.
I was so excited. The second largest Louis Vuitton store in the world is in Singapore. The only floating Apple store in the world is in Singapore. It was
and
amazing.
we had a view of, the most iconic building in Singapore. It's two tall towers, 90 stories each, with this boat-like structure on the top of it.
Yeah.
Which is, on the top, with an infinity pool on the top, so you can get in the pool and look out. Mandalay Bay, man. And it was, I'm telling you, the view from our hotel window was just fabulous. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. And then we went into the building, and we hung around there for a little bit, had dinner there one night, and I'm telling you, it was, just to see this, just to see these magnificent structures, just to see the differences, what people do around the world. We live in a great country, but there's some great, construction, great properties, great places around the world. And so, to have the opportunity to see some of those places, it's just, it's it's mind-boggling, really. We've learned so much. We learn so much from traveling. It opens up your.
What about the appreciation you just talked about? You said something about one of the things we learned is how they appreciated where they were from. Remember?
Yeah, that was especially in Bali. I mean, everybody, wherever we went, people said, well, come back to Vietnam. You're going to come back, right? You come back to Vietnam. But in Bali, they were particularly, I think, and to see these people that so happy, so giving, so caring, and they want you to come back to Bali. They just want you to come back and you feel welcome there. Yeah. And the spirituality was making you like, man, I'm really calm, and you. People are so happy. I've never seen people so content, so happy. Even the kids. There's a video of you with some little kids,
right.
And they were just smiling and grinning. I mean, they were just so open. Their hearts so open.
We noticed how much pride every country had about their country, and every citizen in the country had. And one of the things that occurred to us is like Ken is really great at asking people, what's your home country? What's your home country? And they're so proud of their home country, which honestly, to tell you the truth, it made me think about how to become prouder about the United States, because we can get into a place where we can see everything that's wrong with where we live instead of everything that's right with where we live. And other people looking at the U.S. in the rest of the world and so enamored with the United States. And so I was just talking to a guy in Zanzibar, and he was saying, my dream is to go to the United States. He didn't want to live in the United States, but he wanted to come over here for 2 or 3 years. Right. Touch the opportunity, get the money, and then bring it back to Zanzibar, because he said, I don't have the economic power to make it happen for me in Zanzibar the way that it was. And I looked at him and I said, you know what, let me say this to you. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because what you see in Zanzibar, what you're looking at, I see differently. I see this beautiful dream location. And what you're seeing in the United States, I don't see in the United States the same way you see in the United States. And so you really get to see things through other people's eyes. It changes your perception of what is going on in the world, and makes you appreciate what you have, and it makes you appreciate why they appreciate what they have, because what they have is so different than what we have. And
right, so different,
really
and so different, but they appreciate what they have, and they appreciate their lives, and that helps me to appreciate more the life that we live here. We're extraordinarily fortunate to have been born in the United States.
Extraordinary.
And so, but sometimes you get to thinking about what this country should be doing better, and certainly things can be better. But also, we're very fortunate to have to live here and to have great careers here, et cetera, and to move forward. So, and you mentioned that I asked people their home country, and I memorized with all the countries in the world. I know where they are. And so,
we cannot glebe over that. Okay. He knows where every country is in the world, where it's located. 195. I remember when you were memorizing it, and you've held on to it, and it's such a gift. It really is a gift to people when you talk to them and they give you their home country.
It really is, because people will say, I said, what's your home country? They'll say, oh, I don't want to tell you. I said, well, what's your home country? Well, West Africa, whatever, I said, well, which country? Well, it's a country called Djibouti. I said, yeah, I know Djibouti. You're south of Somalia. You're a little bit from Ethiopia. That kind of stuff. Eritrea is right next to you. Then we're like, you know my country. You know my country. I said, well, yeah, I know your country. You military? No, I'm just, I know where your country is.
They love it.
They love it.
Such
I don't care if a person's from Europe or Asia or whatever country they're from. They always get excited about, that somebody from America would know where their country is.
Somebody from anywhere would know where their country is.
Right.
Okay, so we got a question I thought was really fabulous from one of our followers. And they said, how do you get along? Like, how do you take 32 days together and get along? Or how do you really get along? Coming out of COVID, and so many people were so challenged with their relationships that it really is interesting to us, because so many people have been talking to us about their relationships. So the question of the day is, how do you get along?
Well, I mean, that's easy. As long as you do what I ask you to do, everything is fine. I mean, I think that's...
I was like, when he said that's easy, I was like, oh, where's he going with this one?
I mean, it's simple, right? I mean, what else needs to be said?
So here is such a great thing. When a man thinks that you're doing what he asked you to do, and you're slick enough to let him think that way, you really got it going on. And that is how you keep a relationship going.
And so that's the backup psychology that I use. You know, she does what I want her to do, and she thinks that she's thinking that she's doing what she wants to do. I love it, man. That's the way to go. No, but that's a great question. And I think, you know, first of all, nothing happens unless you're friends. You got to be friends with the person. If you're not friends, it's so difficult, you know. So,
but let's start with that right there, because friendship is big, and I think one of the things we have paid attention to is making sure we embrace and appreciate the friendship. Because in a relationship, when you're together a long time and life starts happening and disappointments start happening and you start seeing a person's decision that wouldn't agree with your decision, you can start to judge the person and lose sight of the friendship.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot there, and yes, you can lose sight of the friendship. We need to. Many people start out as friends. I think that's what you're saying, and you kind of lose that along the way because of, you know, these little hurts, these little digs, you know, and all that. And so we paid attention over the course of our 33 years together, 26 married, that we want to pay attention to the moment. And so if something upsets you, you'll still say, Ken, you know, this is, you know, not what I preferred. And if something upsets me, we'll stop and I'll say, this is not, you know, what we'll discuss that piece. We'll discuss that thing without going back and say, well, yeah, but 2 years ago you did so and so and so and so. And then, you know, you start snowballing. You try not to mount any disappointments or disagreements or hurts, or have those, we can't talk about that subject. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's a level of respect. I think that's really big. And then there's space. There's space. I remember early in our relationship, we were going to have an argument. And he said, I'm going to go on a walk. I was like, we're supposed to have an argument. And he's like, I'm going to go on a walk. And I was like, okay. And so to me, that was him managing his emotions and my emotions. I'm going to go on a walk, and when I come back from the walk, then we'll be in a position to have a conversation, not a yelling situation, not I'm going to put you down, you're going to put me down conversation. The level of respect in the conversation mattered a lot.
And we always are careful about what you say is important. And so don't lose it and start saying all kinds of stuff that you can't take back, because those things hurt and it damages relationship in the long run. I don't say, well, I don't think we ever went, you know, toe to toe and started yelling at each other. We don't do that, because that's counterproductive.
One of the things that worked for our advantage, that's not going to be available to everybody, is that this was our second marriage, and our first marriages were really hard. So we know what it's like when you lose the respect. We know what it's like when you don't invest in the friendship. We know what it's like, and I'm not saying that if we had invested in that friendship, that my first marriage would have sustained itself, because I don't think that was the case. But I do know that we were very sensitive about the fact that we really wanted this to work. And if you really want something to work, if you have it as a priority that you want it to work, you will be willing to put in the extra effort. You will be willing to calm down when you're upset. You'll be willing to have the hard conversations when it's uncomfortable. You'll be willing to compromise. And think about, is it really that important to me? Is it really that important to me? And if it is really that important to the other person, you have to accept and lean in. This is very important to them, and it's not that important to me. So we talk about the ego being a part.
And I think the other thing that we do is I don't have an idea, you should live life the way I live life.
Right.
You know, you live life the way you live life. You go and you do your career the way you want to do your career. And we've allowed that in each other's lives. So we've allowed each other to go on and to be who we are. We're together, but we're also, you know, individuals. You know, I have an individual life, and I have, you know, businesses that I do, and all this stuff that I do that, you know, Gloria doesn't do, and she has all the stuff that she does that I don't do. I'm not trying to make her be me, and she's not trying to make me be her. And I see that so often in other spaces. And so, we have that. Not that everything has been perfect. We've had those kind of situations, that have been tough, and we've had to look at each other, and we've had to make the decision that we were going to stay together. We had to make the decision that, whatever was said, I'm assuming that she really didn't want to hurt me. She assumed that I really didn't want to hurt her. And so let's
important.
Yeah.
That's really, really important. When we were traveling, we decided on our anniversary to come up with 26 reasons why our marriage worked. We ended up with like 31 reasons or 32 reasons, but
Right.
It was nice because we've done it before. Why does this work? Why does this work? So I think self-examination about why our relationship works, what we love about each other, and what we love about the relationship. We do talk about why our relationship works. We do talk about the appreciation, and that we're very fortunate to have a relationship. You guys, you have amazing relationships, but do you take the time to really acknowledge how great your relationship is
and
how fortunate you
treasure
are
the
to have
relationship.
found each other?
Mhm.
Yes.
And because we the difference between people who don't get along in relationships and people who do get along. I want to be on the side of people who get along in relationships. It's so much easier. That's one of the most important, if not the most important decision that you will ever make in your life, is who's your life partner. Mm-hmm. And so, if you take the time to select a life partner and you really enjoy this person, let's stay in that space. Let's try to stay in that space. And so we managed to stay in that space for a period of time. And so when we travel, we take all of that with us. All of that, advanced work is coming with us when we travel. And so when we spend, these days together, basically 24/7, for over a month, we have this base with us, and so we can just flow. And sometimes there's a time when Gloria will go for a walk or something, or I'll go for a workout, and it's okay. We're not trying to do anything, we just flow together. And I think that's our secret. We don't put pressure on one another, and we just find a reason to get along, and whatever we have to compromise, we can compromise. And compromise is not that bad. It's not, it's not demeaning. You just, that's what you want to do. That's fine. Exactly.
I read this article a long time ago that said most couples argue about the same three things: children, sex, and money. That's what they argue about. And so you need to think about where you are in your situation, what in those three in your relationship is causing you to argue about those things, and figure out a way to navigate those things, because you're not always on the same page all the time, but in the conversation about it, and even in just the acknowledgement, like, okay, we're having an argument about kids. This is not our whole life. This is just right now in this moment, what's important about that. Okay, this is about sex. Okay, so let's talk about this and how we're going to make that work in this moment. Okay, this is about money. Okay, how are we going to make this work in this moment at this time? Why is it so important to you? Acknowledging why he feels that way, given his background, why I feel this way, given my background, or whatever. It is just being aware and just really paying attention to the importance of a relationship.
Paying attention. And, I think one of the tools that we've had at our disposal was when something comes up, let's say you got a couple of things that you really want to talk about, write it down. So you know what? I'm going to write this down. This is something that bothers me. This is why it bothers me.
Yeah.
So be kind of clear in what is on your mind. Sometimes we don't even know why we're, doing. So be clear what's on our mind. Write it down. And here's where I like to see it. And here's my response. And so those kind of things make it clearer in our own mind, and you can communicate it relatively good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll look at each other and say, okay, we're going to look at each other's eyes. We're going to look at each other's eyes. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to get to the end of this. And so, it's like being tied together. Okay, you got to come out with an answer. And so we've worked all of these systems all through the marriage, and you got to think, what is going to help this marriage? What is going to help? You got to think of that sometimes together.
Because we were together 6 years before we got married.
Doesn't have to be a marriage.
6 years.
Exactly.
Patience.
6 years.
Was important to
6
the
years.
relationship.
That's right. 6 years.
Patience. You got to have to sort of decide.
Her friends were like, when you gonna get married? When you get married? Man, you've been going with that man for years and years and years. You're not married yet. Blah 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 blah. And she came to me and she said, my friends say, when you gonna get married? About time for you to get married. I said, well, that's interesting. My friends think it's great. They be like, man, you the man, man. You the man. I'm like, yeah.
We got a lot of advice on relationships, a lot of advice on it, but that was the question of the day.
That was the question of the day. Fabulous. The word of the day is gratitude. And so what do we think about gratitude? And I can tell you what I think about gratitude. I think that's one of the most important emotions to have. Gratitude and appreciation. When you look at life in a space of gratitude and you look at life in a space of appreciation, then you're thinking about the good things in life. You're thinking about, I appreciate this. I appreciate you. I appreciate the travel. I appreciate the home. I appreciate where I live. I appreciate the family. I have gratitude for all of that stuff. Now, why do I say it's most? Because you can always think on the other end of that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to be here, or this isn't going right for me, or I wish I was working someplace else, and all of the negative stuff. So we have a choice. We have a choice. The choice is ours. We can live in a space of graciousness. We can live in a space of gratitude. We can live in a space of appreciation, or we can live on the other side of that. We can live in that space of anger and resentment, and everything is wrong. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be. Is everything perfect? No, but I don't have to think about it all day long. Right. I'd rather think about what the good things are in life. And it seems like the more I think about the good things in life, and the more I think about appreciation, the more that I have to appreciate. It seems to flow into me, because what you think about is what you bring into your life.
That's right.
As a man thinketh, so is he. And so as we think about gratitude, as we think about appreciation, as we think about opening our hearts to others and into the universe, into our world, those things seem to come back to us. What do you say?
I want to say that what you just said is the umbrella of living a great life, an umbrella of enjoying things, gratitude. And so what I want to add to that I think that we do really well is that we're intentional about being grateful, because you have to be intentional about what you're thinking. You have to be intentional about what you're saying. And you ask yourself, is that thought a thought of gratitude, or is that thought of judgment, or is that thought of comparison? Is that a thought? So, when you just talked about all the benefits that happen when you stay in a place of gratitude, then you say to yourself, well, how do I get there? How do I stay there? How do I maintain it? And how do I get back there? Because all of us leave that moment. All of us get something. You bump your knee, or you go in the hospital for something, or someone makes you upset. Someone in your family does something to you, or a friend that is really disappoints you in some way. But how do you get back to that place? And not one of them is knowing the benefits you just talked about. Another one is just being intentional about your thoughts. What are you thinking? And if you can pay attention to what you're thinking, then you can pay attention to how you're feeling. And deciding to feel grateful is the first step to understanding the gratitude.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
As we think about the word gratitude, and we talk about the type of service people have, we saw a lot of gratitude in the people that were working in the several places we traveled. Because of the pandemic, their jobs were back.
Right.
They weren't working for the
last 2 years.
Yeah. And they were very excited for the opportunity to serve, very excited for the opportunity to reestablish who they are. Many of them had to leave their jobs and do other things in order to make money. So they were so excited and grateful to be back in the position where they shine the most. And they want to make sure that we felt that. So we saw a lot of people that appreciated the opportunity to work again, appreciated the opportunity to serve again, appreciated the opportunity for you to love and fall in love with what they fall in love with. Then you talked about how excited they were about their country, and how excited they were for us to feel their culture,
to experience their country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They would come and they say, have you done this and have you done that? Mm-hmm. And we'd love for you to be in our country. Right. We love for you to understand our country. We love for you to come back to our country. And it's just, they have such an appreciation for who they are. And it's funny how, most of the people that we met don't live on a high standard. A lot of them can't leave their country.
Right.
A lot of countries you go to, they can't go on vacation, right, because it's too expensive. It's very cheap for us to live. Like if you wanted to live in Bali, for instance, it's very inexpensive for us. based on the U.S. dollar. But it's very expensive for them to leave the country, and so for them to get a plane ticket to the United States is like a fortune. It's just
3 or 4 months.
a literal fortune. It would take even
income.
more than that, right? Of their income to buy a ticket to go to the United States. In fact, yes, years actually for them to just base salary. The base salary is only a couple of $100s a month. It's amazing how little people make in different countries. So, but nevertheless, it doesn't matter. They still have an open heart. They still appreciate who they are. They appreciate us as their clients. They appreciate having a job, and they appreciate their country. And they're gracious and have gratitude for all of that.
One of the things that we saw that was mind-blowing coming from the U.S. is that their appreciation and gratitude for each other and their country, there were no police.
Yeah,
there were no police.
No police.
32 days. Did we even see 2 police cars? I don't even know if we saw 2 police cars.
I think there might have been some in Seoul, I think, but there were in Bali for sure. No police in Zanzibar. We didn't see any police, and I mean, it's not
even
like
in Singapore, we didn't see.
No, we saw. I tell you what, we did see. We saw a police office in Seoul, Korea.
Oh, the office! Oh my gosh!
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
So
with the Disney character,
Disney character outside, and we're like, "What are they?" She said, "That's the lady that we were with that was showing us around. That's the police." And they had 2 Disney characters, statues, outside of the police office. We're like, she said they just want to show that they're friendly. Yeah. They're friendly police. They want to be welcoming to you.
You want to get a hug from the police. I said a hug. I mean, it was amazing. But again, their appreciation, their culture, that was just different. So the security was different. The safety was different because they appreciate. And so we can take that back to say, why do we struggle so much in our country with safety? And is it a lack of gratitude for the things that we have?
I'll tell you what, and the number one thing that we should all have as a birthright is public safety. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have to worry about safety. You shouldn't have to walk down the street worried about, you shouldn't have to send your children to school worried about what might happen to them or whatever. They don't have those worries. They simply don't have those worries. They understand. You can walk down the street in Ubud, Bali, in Indonesia, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can go, in a dark alley or whatever. You don't have to worry. The same when we were in, India, let's say, New Delhi, a city of, I don't know how many, 20 million people, whatever. And, there was an alley, remember there was an alley, and I asked her, is it okay for us to walk? She said, yeah. No, many
problem. Places around the world. Sorry. But it really comes back to how grateful they are. And that's why some of those places are so clean. Because they're grateful about the country that they have. They're grateful about their culture. They're grateful about their agriculture. They're grateful. Like when we were in Vietnam, remember they said they can take a coconut tree and they can use every single piece of that coconut tree to do everything. They can take the rice, take the husk from the rice. In Vietnam, we went to the rice fields. They take the husk from the rice and they burn it to make the brick. And then once it turns into ash, they sell it back to the rice farmers to fertilize. I mean, they use everything, the trees, the rice, the coconut. I mean, it wasn't just the coconut. It wasn't just the rice. It was everything. They really are grateful about everything and figure out how to use everything. You are so excited and disciplined when it comes to working out when we travel. Now, how do you keep that going?
Well, for me, it's like, I want to work out. And so I'm looking for opportunities to work out. And so all the hotels we went to had workout facilities. Yeah. And so... Except one. Except one that was closed for maintenance. I'm like, maintenance? What kind of stuff is that? Maintenance? Close the gym? But, I had a number of workouts. In every country that I was in, I had a workout.
You made it fun.
At least a couple of workouts. I loved it. Some of the gyms were extraordinary. But I want to find the best space. And if I can't find a gym that I can do, several hundred push-ups in the room, and I can do some squats in the room, and I can do whatever. But but I want to keep in some sort of physical condition. We had swimming. We could go swimming. We could run on the beach. We could do a lot of stuff. And so working out is something that I take seriously. And so traveling, it doesn't matter if I travel, I'm still going to work out. And I didn't work out every day, but some days you're flying for 14 hours and you land, you don't really feel like doing much.
One of the things that is so exciting in the fitness is the way you eat.
Yeah.
And we saw so many different cuisines. Remember that fish that we had in Vietnam, which was delicious.
Amazing.
And then we went to Bali, where they didn't have any refrigeration.
Well, in the homes, you're right.
Yeah.
In the homes, they didn't have any refrigeration. Why? Because they basically shop every day and everything is
Every
fresh.
day.
And they go and they pick up,
They have the spices
food,
over there.
And they cook the food, wood stoves, basically,
Yeah.
And so that's how they cook. And so everything is
And they had
fresh.
wells.
Everybody had a
at
well,
their house.
right? Exactly. So it's a whole different world, and we were fortunate enough to have some basically homemade food, and but we go into the restaurants and so I don't eat meat and I don't eat chicken, and Gloria doesn't eat a lot of meat and not a lot of chicken.
I don't eat either, except sometimes.
Every now and then. I'm trying to be diplomatic on this stuff. But she ate very little meat, but a little bit, right? And so every place we went to was basically a watered down community, right? So everybody had seafood. And so the vegetarian diet is easy. Everybody has vegetables, and everybody has salads and all that. And everybody did rice. Most of the countries did a lot of rice. And so I was able to eat not my normal diet, but nearly my normal diet. And so I stayed in that space. So
In that space.
Right.
For that fitness. For that time,
right,
for 32 days.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it was a priority. It's a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you something that was really amazing, because every tour guide, I wanted to ask them this question. And I said, what is the largest health challenge that you have in your country right now? Like, what is the challenge? And we got different answers. One country said their biggest challenge was smoking. Cigarette smoking was still a big part of their challenge. But one of the things that we observed, because we know in the U.S., obesity is a big problem here. It's a challenge for people. And there's other places in the world that it's a challenge. But it was interesting when we traveled in Southeast Asia on this particular trip, it wasn't the number one challenge. And I know it's got to do something with the way they eat and their attitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's their diet. 90% of that is diet, and they get better exercise probably than we do. But it's the diet. They walk a lot, but it's the diet. The diet is very very simple there. We eat
fresh.
We eat all
very
kinds of things we want to eat. Their diet is based on, well, let's say Vietnam, Bali, rice. It's based on rice, and so the rice is the central portion of that. And it's different rice. It's not processed. It's real rice. I mean, they grow it. Everybody grows rice. They grow it in their backyard. I mean, rice fields everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
And but they use that, and so they use fresh vegetables, as you say.
Fish caught that morning.
Fish caught, etc. And so their diet is different than ours. And I also noticed that they don't overeat. They eat smaller portions than we do. I think we eat, compared to them, we eat a lot. We eat a lot of food.
Oh my God. Okay, let's just talk truth. We have buffets at all these hotels.
All the hotels.
Fabulous buffets.
Right.
So I would get my plate and they would have their plate. I was like...
Right. They eat a piece of toast. We're like, man, what's a piece of toast? We got everything, right?
Right, like it's our last meal of the day.
And going back and getting it right. Like we're eating once a day, right?
So portion control was a big deal. We saw it ourselves. It was it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a big difference. They don't have the same problem. They're all slim. It seems like they're all slim and fit. You wonder, well, we were like, man, everybody's really skinny here,
Yeah. Like a problem. In my head, I was
y'all need to gain some weight around here, right? But Vietnam again, and Bali and Korea, everybody, it's just a different feeling.
It's a different rhythm. And that's why you want to travel, because it's a different rhythm. And you gain so much from learning from so many other people just being in that space. It was awesome.
Right, exactly.
We're so glad. This was so much fun talking about 32 days away and all this travel and all this conversation and relationship. It's so great for you guys to tune in with us at Banking on the Banks. We want you to subscribe. We want you to share. Right here is the link where you're going to be able to find us all the time. It's so exciting. I want you to follow Ken on Instagram at official Ken Banks. I want you to follow me on Instagram at Gloria Banks, because we got some things to share with you, some things to show you. And we're so excited to have you here with us. Where are they going to find us on the podcast?
They're going to find us on Spotify. They're going to find us on Apple TV, all over the place. Any place you find a podcast, that's what we're going to be.
That's what we're going to be. Absolutely. So we're so glad to be your favorite couple. So we want to thank you so much for being with us today, because you're here with us, your favorite couple. So thank you for banking on the banks.